Just 100% paid health, disability, and life insurance, 401k with employee match, and paid holidays and vacation. Vision Mechanical believes in craftsmanship, teamwork, and building a better future one project at a time. Apply today or learn more at visionmechanical.net or email Ron at vmech.net.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, first and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Adam Carriker.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. Today we're going to discuss the future of Nebraska football and Nebraska basketball. When I sent you that headline, what popped into your head, Jake?
Well, I think in general, maybe in a little bit of an idea of one program going up and the other program questions are surrounding it. The future of Nebraska football, certainly.
So let's start with basketball. Do you feel like it is going up? As in, so in order to say going up, we'd have to be saying at least Sweet 16 next year. In order to go up, technically you have to go Elite 8. I don't know. It's a little bit different with the NCAA tournament than it is wins and losses in football because it's much easier to win and lose one game in March, so to speak. But at least making some sort of a tournament run in order to stay status quo. Or how would you define going up in the basketball, according to the basketball team?
Well, I guess if you look at it, where Nebraska finished this past year, like you said, a lot of different ways to measure it, but Sweet 16, I think they're going to finish a top 16 team. So yeah, I mean, you might have to move beyond that. But they're recruiting top 100 kids. I think they're going to have a roster if they can bring Sanford, back with Frager. I think that's a top 15, team. So that's a little bit different preseason than what we walked into last year. So a lot of different ways to measure, but at least preseason expectations from one year to next are going to be pretty significantly different.
Braden Frager, as we know, 6th man of the year in the Big Ten. Mentioned this before. The only guy to come off the bench in the Big Ten and average double digits in points in the entire conference. Contrary to April Fool's popular belief yesterday, Rink Mask was not granted an 8th year of eligibility. I'm not going to lie, I believed it for a second. That's why you always, I was going to say trust but verify. But it's on the internet. You got to verify, then trust, then verify. Unfortunately, he's not getting an 8th year of eligibility. That would have been awesome. But you got to keep in mind, Connor Sejan's coming back. Braden Frager. Who was the other guy you just mentioned? Bryce Sanford.
Yeah.
Kind of a big deal right there. So, sorry, I got a text in the middle of reading here, of chatting here. When you think about who's returning, the portal opening in basketball, how much portalating, I like that word, portalating? How much portalating do you think they need to do, Jake?
Well, like I said, I mean, they've got Colin Rice and Jacob Lanier coming in as 4-star recruits, so that will be helpful. There's some things. I mean, you might want a primary ball handler to kind of come in. Obviously, losing Jamarcus Lawrence and Sam Hoiberg, that could be something that you're looking for. Another big to kind of play that Rink Mass role. You're going to have Bear K back. Obviously, Kel Jacobson is going to be another name. Leo Curtis, has he developed to a point that he can be a big part of that? So all those are questions. But to me, I think there's going to be a few guys that you're going to get to from the portal. And as opposed to previous years, you might be, if you make a call, you're going to be one of the first teams on anybody's list. Because like we said, you're a Sweet 16 team now compared to, kind of the pitch of, hey, you can be the reason we get here. Now you can say, here's the reason we got here. Here's what we've done before with guys in your position and how we can mold the program around you as well.
You talked about some of the 4-star guys they got coming in starting to be able to recruit even more effectively, more efficiently. I would think the two biggest things you would need would be the primary ball handler. Is there anyone on the roster right now that you see to be the primary ball handler? You think that guy's going to be on his way to Lincoln in the near future?
I would think that he would be on his way. I mean, Kel Jacobson can play many different roles. I think it was important for this team in general that you've got guys that can bring the ball up the floor. Certainly Frager and Sanford and Bearcake can do that from their own positions. Throw a season in there if you bring him back, when they bring him back, I'm not saying if, but he's more of obviously the shooter than the ball handler. I think they need one.
Man, you think about Essegian and Sanford out there shooting the ball. Obviously, Frager and some of the other guys we got as well. That could be a team that could shoot lights out, especially if they get hot at the right time, potentially, depending on the time of the year. Primary ball handler and a big. I think that would be the biggest thing, no pun intended, as far as the things that need to be addressed, brought in to next year's team, however you want to phrase it. Do you have any concerns about down low? There were times this year we got out physicaled in the paint, whether it be out rebounded, whatever the case may be. Our leading blocker on the year averaged less than, just a little over 1 point and change block a game. Just having that physical presence down low. But what type of offense that Fred ran last year? And was that a rink mask oriented type offense where the five comes to the top of the key, he can shoot, he can draw their five out, which leaves the hoop more exposed down low. You can hit passers, cutters. And he's got all sorts of things to happen off that offense. Was that more of a rink mask type thing? Or do you think that's what Hoiberg's looking to do consistently going forward? Obviously done it at times in the past. And that's the type of big he's looking for, because then you could run into the situation again next year. Are we getting pushed around at times down low? Because the guy who's going to play that far away from the hoop isn't going to be your typical big who's going to live in the area down low by the hoop. Like, this is a terrible example, but Shaq popped into my head. Like, Shaq was not going to live around the three-point line. Shaq could barely live around the free throw line, okay? So for me, it depends on what type of big you're looking for. You're trying to be more physical down low, get more boards, have more of a dominant presence on defense, post up down low on offense. Are you trying to do what he did last year with rink mass? My gut tells me it's going to be a little bit more like that, because the problems that presents to a defense is unique. Not a lot of teams do that. Also, it allows Hoiberg to do a lot of the things with his offensive scheme and system that he likes to do. And it just presents something unique that other defenses, the defenses they're going to face, they don't face it a lot. And it allows you to do things like Nebraska's got plenty of talent. But when you start facing teams in the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight, you start facing the elite talent in the country. How do you compete with that? If maybe your roster stacks up, if maybe it doesn't, how do you compete with that? And I think that's something unique that he can do that can create issues if he has the right big again next year for opposing teams when they don't see that all the time.
Yeah, it'll be interesting the approach they take. I think specifically it's even interesting to look at like Bearcake. Bearcake, I think, wants to think of himself and has shown at times to be a guy that can shoot and stretch the floor and be part of a five-out offense. But he shot 24% from beyond the arc this year. You're going to need a little bit higher level of hitting percentage than that. And then from there, do you want him to, if that's going to be the case, if you're going to try to cut that off, then do you want him to kind of focus more on his low post moves and grinding out and getting rebounds and being kind of a traditional big? So I think even with him, there's kind of interest to follow along there. But I think you also just want to have options, right? I mean, as great as it is to have a five-out offense, it's also, you're not going to deny getting Ademar or somebody from Michigan, or to be able to defend those. You got to get ready for that in the Big Ten. So I think that's why the development of Leo Curtis will be interesting to follow along. Again, that's that guy that traditionally stretches the floor too much. At least as of this year, didn't take too many shots there. Maybe could continue to do that. But we saw before rink mass was Derek Walker, who they facilitated the ball through. He was not a shooter, but still were able to facilitate the offense through. And I think that's what they're going to look for more than anything, is somebody that you can facilitate the offense through, can be a threat, can pass. I think it would be a bonus if they can stretch the floor. But if not, like you said, you're also going to need it somewhere in the mix. So they got a few scholarships to play with. Wouldn't be surprised if they go in about a few different types that can depending on the matchups, can be what you decide what lineup you're going to go with before you kind of truly figure out what you want to do.
And we're going to get to football here in a minute. Don't worry, folks. There's been a lot of comparing the football program to basketball I'm just going to be blunt. I don't feel like doing it today. I thought about it. I thought about the headline being compare and contrast Nebraska football versus basketball. I've heard that argument so many different ways, so many different times. I'm just kind of over it. So I was like, let's just talk about the future of each sport as it stands on its own. And that's the approach we're going to take today. We will get to football, obviously. With basketball, my gut tells me that this is going to be an interesting comparison. But there are certain unique offenses, like in football, like Mike Leach's offense. It was a one of a kind. I have never played an offense in my life where the offensive linemen were 3 yards apart. That's the only one, was Mike Leach. It was annoying how annoying it was. That's a terrible way of putting it. It's annoying how annoying it was because there's these gigantic gaps. It's there for a reason, and it's misleading. And it created more issues than you would have thought. If I'm being fully honest with you, I would have preferred to do a few things schematically a little bit different, but that's just me in my utopian defensive lineman world and not caring about the rest of the back seven. Just let me penetrate and shoot, and I'll have that guy running for his life, but it's neither here nor there. When you look at what Hoiberg's doing, because Leach had success at places that weren't predominantly places that had a lot of success of football. Texas Tech wasn't the Texas Tech of now when he got there. Just keep that in mind. Mississippi State had more success under him outside of the Dak Prescott era than most eras. Washington State was, I grew up, Washington State was one of my favorite schools. I know that the history of that school very well. Pullman was absurdly up and down, but they had as much or more success outside the 1997 season under Mike Leach, which is a unique system. It's what you do when you go someplace that typically hasn't had a ton of success in any given sport. And that was kind of Nebraska basketball to a degree, at least. Hadn't won a postseason game in the NCAA tournament till this year. So it's fair to say that to the level that people would like. And all right, how do I take this place, which has the potential to have success? It's harder to recruit here because people don't see it as a successful basketball school when Fred got here as he was building the program. And maybe you don't have quite the allocation of resources at that point in time. Again, I didn't verify this. You know, it was reported there was $4.5 million for this basketball roster, the least of any Sweet 16 team. Did you ever double check that? I did not.
I mean,
it was out there multiple
reported,
times.
yeah.
It's on the internet. It must be true. Okay. So my point is, when you're trying to figure out how to have success, there's going to be, well, what can we be that's unique, that's different? How do we pose problems to an opposing team that they don't see otherwise, where we can maximize our talent, get them off balance a little bit? Hopefully they have a short time, maybe 48 hours. Maybe you play them on a Saturday after a Thursday game in the NCAA tournament. They have short time to prepare for you. And how do you maximize your talent doing something unique and gives you the opportunity to have more success than a particular program or university has had in a given sport in the past? That's what Mike Leach was the king of. Now Texas Tech has success because they got a lot of money and they got people with the plan, and they're executing that plan very well, and I give them all due respect with that. I think that's kind of how Hoiberg sees it. So I see more of a 5-out high post offense where the 5 can shoot. He's a good passer, things of that nature. It'll probably lead to a little bit more of a dilemma down low again next year at times. If I'm correct, I almost said we're correct, but if I'm correct, a little bit more of a dilemma down low, because that type of guy may not be the defensive dominant presence down low that you're looking for, or the ultimate rebounder that you're looking for. But I do think if that is the route he chooses, I think it's fun to watch. I think you've got shooters coming back again already with Esigian and Price Sanford. Okay, I've never actually said this name out loud on air. You let me know if I get it. I practiced it. Butekinsel. Did I get that right?
I would say Butekinsel.
Butekinsel.
Yeah.
Did I get it right now?
Sure.
Buke Buke.
Just say Bear K. That's easy.
Why'd you say it like that?
Butekinsel.
Butekinsel. Is that what I'm saying it right?
Butekinsel.
I'm saying it how you're. Do I have to have the pot Butekinsel like in the places that you say? Is that right?
I think that's better.
I
couldn't be for sure if I'm saying it right, but I think that's how you say it.
I've always said beer K. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I heard you say it earlier, or say beer K, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna go take a whack at his last name. People butcher my last name all the time. By the way, there's no T in it. It's not character. Why do people add a T all the time? Can you tell? Because somebody is not. It's everywhere I've ever been. Character. There's no T. There's literally no T in the spelling. I don't get it.
Just a word people know, I guess.
So I don't mind taking a crack at saying people's names, and I try my best to get them right. But if I get them wrong, I'm like, well, trust me, I've had mine, which I don't think is that hard to say. I've had mine pronounced wrong several times in my life. But when you look at basketball, those are kind of some of the things that I anticipate. And I do think we can be like a top 4 seed going into the Big Ten tournament. In that talk for NCAA tournament run type discussions and having fun again next March like we did this March. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's headed that way. And that's what's so exciting. It's like the expectations are sky high, and for good reason. Now, again, you got to go through the ups and downs of the offseason. Certainly, all of this is with the idea that Bryce Sanford and Braden Frager can come back. But that's a 1-2 scoring duo and just punching the Big Ten. I mean, you're talking about a first-team All-Big Tenner and the 6th man of the year. That's a good 1-2 duo to start with. If you can build around that, again, I think you're, especially being a destination type of transfer portal spot rather than, all right, well, we'll see what we can get out of the transfer portal. I think this is going to be a team with top 20 expectations, like you said, with expecting to match what they did this year. And of course, nobody wants to stay where you were. They're going to try to do better.
So does this mean we're done for the day at this time?
No. That's just for the first segment.
Okay. All right. So we will get to football, because I was going to say, we may not be able to get there, but we will get to football. Okay. Are we just going online then at that point? How's that working?
Yep.
Okay. So if you want to stay with us, just in case I say it wrong, you tell the fine folks where they can stay with us after the first break, because the Royals game is coming on. So where can they stay with us? Obviously, where can they watch hear the Royals game? Where can they stay with us if they want to do that?
Yep. Twins and Royals. So we'll start the broadcast at 12:30. So you can have to jump on to one of our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, or jump to Allo to watch and listen to us here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Any final thoughts? Anything off the text line as far as basketball? I've just got one, and then let me know what you think with the text line things. For now, anyways, it's a long off season, plenty of time to talk about things. I'm looking forward to Nebraska basketball season for multiple reasons, and I mentioned this during the NCAA tournament. I enjoyed just watching a Nebraska sport win postseason games, and just that first game they were dominating. That was fun. Even the Vanderbilt, I mean, obviously we won Vanderbilt. That was fun. Obviously the Iowa game goes the way it goes. Okay. But it was just fun it's been a while. Now, obviously volleyball's made runs, baseball, softball's made runs. Like when everybody everywhere has got that TV on, they're watching the basketball game. It brought back memories of when I was younger, and that was just fun. And I look forward to, even if we don't, like, hopefully we make Sweet 16. Hopefully we keep progressing and things look very similar, hopefully even improved next year over this past year. I just look forward to the joy of watching and having fun watching Nebraska basketball. That's one of the things I look forward to the most when I think of the future and next season when it comes to Nebraska basketball. What are your thoughts? What's the text line got to say?
Yeah, I'm interested in that and to see how that develops, because I do think Nebraska fans are going to be excited. It's going to be a little bit different, right? Usually football is dominating the headlines. You got volleyball, of course, and Nebraska basketball kind of has a soft launch or soft open, right? And then, okay, you kind of get into December, and now people are starting to pay attention. Whereas this year, I think there's going to be interest right out of the gate, see what they can do with the non-con schedule. But in general, people are going to want to get there and see what this team looks like. And then is there already a program shift change as far as expectations? Are we going to be able to enjoy it a little bit longer? Is the fan base going to get a little bit frustrated with losses more so than in the past? All of that will be a good problem, if it is a problem, right, to have here at Nebraska. But preseason expectations, very, very real. It's going to be fun. And Nebraska basketball, unfortunately, has been through that where it's fallen off before. So hopefully we don't go through that. I don't think you're going to right now. I think a lot of people feel this is built on some pretty unstable legs here. Jacob Lincoln says one of the best defenses in the country this year. I don't think lack of physicality down low is something to be worried about that much, for his thoughts.
No, I loved the way we play defense, and that's something that will travel. I've talked about that before. That'll travel from game to game, postseason game to postseason game, and it should travel from year to year. I did. I enjoyed in that Vanderbilt game. All of a sudden, I look at the TV and I'm like, are we in a 1-3-1? Whoa. I was like, whoa. Maybe think of the old Tim Miles days back when he did the 1-3-1. And then it threw Vanderbilt for a little bit of a loop. Now, Iowa came a little bit more prepared. They struggled their first time down the court with it, but they were a little better adjusted after that. But, man, I tell you what, the 1-3-1, whether you're doing, typical man defense, whatever the case may be, that's something that does travel. And we know we've got shooters with Connor Essegian, Price Sanford, guys coming in, other players that are returning as well. I'm curious to see how it all comes together. When it comes to expectations and if a program all of a sudden loses and people get mad, I think expectations are a good thing. I think if you lose and people don't care, that's a terrible thing. I had it said to me, and I've said it to people when I'm coaching. If a coach quits coaching you, like if a coach is on you and a coach is yelling at you, depending on being age appropriate with this, and a coach is getting on you, don't get down. It's not the worst thing in the world. When you should get very, very concerned is when the coach just stops talking to you. If that ever happens, because that means the coach must not see anything more in you. That's when you become very concerned. If you're winning, if you're losing, and as long as there's a certain amount of respect that comes along with it, there's going to be reactions. If you win or if you lose and there's not much of a reaction, to me, that's when you should be concerned. A lack of a reaction is got to be about I don't want to say the most terrifying thing ever, but it's got to be one of the most concerning things. And you can equate this to pro wrestling. I don't talk about it. Every once in a while I bring up pro wrestling, but not a ton. If you're a pro wrestler, if you're a good guy, babyface, if you're a bad guy, heel, they don't really care if the crowd cheers or boos. The worst thing a pro wrestler can hear is to walk out and hear nothing. It means they don't care about you. And you're not going to be employed long. If you can't make them care, if they don't want to see you beat somebody up in the pro wrestling world, or if they don't want to see you get your butt kicked because you're a bad guy, if you come out and there's not much to it, not much of a reaction to it, that's when you're in trouble. You don't want your sports team to ever be like that either. Again, if it's a bad loss and people are reacting, I always just say, keep it with respect. I will never begrudge people their reactions. And I will never say, how dare could you react like this? Or how dare could you react like that? Or, oh my gosh, or laugh at somebody. I will debate someone. I will be like, hey, what about this? What about that? Or I agree with you. Nailed it. Whatever the case may be, as long as it's with respect. When it goes beyond respectfulness, then it's like, okay. So I think Husker Nation is always going to be passionate. I'm curious to see how basketball goes next year because they're going to win some, they're going to lose some. Like I said, when people go quiet, when people aren't paying attention, that's when things can become the most concerning. And luckily, with Husker fans, I think we'd be hard-pressed to see that happen. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm not worried about the not caring. I will, and once we get into football, I'm interested. I don't know how much we've talked about it, but again, I was a little bit bothered more than other people around the office by the spring game attendance.
All right, that's a perfect segue. I was gonna go right into break, and we're gonna come back for the last two segments talking about the future of Nebraska football. Again, if people want to hear the Royals, if people want to stay with us, where can they go, Jake?
You can go to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, or Allo to check us out from here on out. On the traditional airwaves will be the Royals coming up against the Twins.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
So, time to upgrade your equipment, but don't go rushing to your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Sandhills Global is growing right here in Lincoln. With our expanding campus and continued growth, we're hiring across a wide range of careers, from interns to experienced professionals. Join the team at Sandhills Global and build your career with competitive pay, great benefits, and real opportunities to grow. Visit sandhills.jobs to view openings and apply today. That's sandhills.jobs.
There are so many realtors in Lincoln and Omaha, but don't get overwhelmed by all the no-names, plus all the different companies. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Real Estate is your go-to option, whether buying or selling residential, luxury, leasing, investment properties, or commercial property, small or large. Ben's team offers decades of experience, unbeatable customer service, and promises to fully protect your interests throughout the entire transaction. Call 402-419-6309 for all your real estate needs. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group of BHHS Ambassador Real Estate.
Gentlemen, are you ready for something beyond the ordinary haircut? At Scissors and Scotch Lincoln, they blend your old school barber feel with your favorite watering hole. Sink into a comfy chair, unwind with a complimentary drink, and let their master barbers handle the rest. It's not just grooming, it's an experience. Whether you're prepping for a big meeting, needing to get cleaned up before family comes to town, or just need a little time to yourself, Scissors and Scotch Lincoln delivers sharp style every time. Book now at Scissors and Scotch in Lincoln, just south of 30th and Yankee Hill Road.
Planet Fitness has everything you need to power your progress, so you can give everything you've got, all for just 1 cent down. Whether you want to get the most out of our best-in-class equipment or go all in with free fitness training, our trainers are ready to help you get stronger than ever before. Take your workout to the next level at Planet Fitness. Join the club today for 1 cent down, $15 a month. No commitment. Deal ends Friday, April 10th. You ready? Planet Fitness. We're all strong on this planet. See club for details.
You started your business to build something special. Now it's time to grow and protect it. At Pinnacle Bank, our treasury management services help you do just that. Through smarter payment technology, account administration, and fraud protection. So no matter the size of your business, you can get the most out of your financial operations. Request your free consultation at pinbank.com/consult. Pinnacle Bank, the way banking should be. Member FDIC.
I'm Dr. Jeremy Hosine, candidate for the University of Nebraska Board of Regents. Husker athletics has never been stronger. Let's champion the same mindset across our entire university, academics, research, and opportunity. As a neurosurgeon, former regent, and proud Husker, I'm running to stand up for NU's future because this matters to my family and yours. NU needs us, and we need NU. On May 12th, vote Dr. Jeremy Hosine for regent, for our students, for our future.
93.7 The Ticket is Lincoln's home for Kansas City Royals baseball in 2026. Catch all the action as Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, and a pitching rotation led by Cole Reagans try to lead the Royals back to the postseason. That's Kansas City Royals baseball all summer long on the air in Lincoln at 93.7 The Ticket.
Culture and Coffee with Mike Smith and the Bowie Boys is back this Friday, April 3rd, featuring members from UNL's Theta Chi fraternity to discuss their car smash philanthropy. Stop by this Friday between 5 and 8 p.m. as we turn the ticket into a skate park. That's right, a skate park, and also highlight the car smash philanthropy with Theta Chi. Again, that's 5 to 8 p.m. this Friday, April 3rd for a live broadcast of Culture and Coffee from 5 to 7 p.m. and a Vintage Market Plus skate experience hosted by the Bowie Boys from 7 to 8 p.m. This is a party you won't want to miss, sponsored by Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers.
You're listening to the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. As a former Husker and NFL player, I am indeed a bit of a health nut. Hydration and recovery start at home. Make sure you team up with Culligan of Lincoln. Soft water means better showers, cleaner dishes, and protects my water heater and appliances. A high-efficiency softener cuts salt and water usage. For drinking, I did indeed add a Culligan reverse osmosis. Now it's like bottle-quality water right at my tap. Great taste and is certified to reduce tough contaminants like lead and PFAs. Right now, check out their spring specials as we celebrate March Madness. And make sure you stay hydrated through all the fun. Culligan of Lincoln, water you love. Go Big Red. This is a limited time offer. Participating dealers. Restrictions may apply. Learn more at CulliganLincoln.com/basketball. All right. The future of Nebraska football. I thought it was interesting because all it says in the headline is the future of Nebraska football and basketball. That's all I sent, right? Like I sent that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Why did your mind immediately go to positivity with basketball and maybe not so positivity with football? It was a very objective headline, Jake. Why? Why the vast takes here?
Well, because of where the teams are. I mean, I can't get over the lack of attendance, if you will, from the spring game. Might not mean a lot to many, but to me, they grew up and forever remember 60,000 people. I think that's it's specifically the spring game. That's Nebraska's thing, more so than anywhere else. And it looks like that's dwindling. So that's at the top of my mind. And then obviously basketball. I mean, we just had the best time of our lives in Nebraska basketball. So that's obviously positive.
I think that's fair to point out. I did point out the other day, the timing of the spring game, I do think affected it. Being a month earlier. A lot of teams hadn't even started spring practice till the next day. The 11 a.m. start, normally they do like 1 p.m. so people from Kearney and whatnot can come. Obviously, the basketball season's going on. Expectations are lower this year. They are lower this year, so you're going to have a lower turnout. I think all those things I think they're all fair to point out. With the spring game, obviously the lowest attendance since 2000. I think it's a little bit of a mixed bag. Let me ask you this. If it was a month later, mid to end of April, when it normally is, 1 p.m. start time, because start time has been pointed out to me, and I'm like, really? Does it make that much of a difference? Okay, fine. 1 p.m. start time. It's a month later in April. Obviously, basketball's done with a month ago. People have had a month to kind of get into football mode. Because let's be real, you have press conferences throughout the spring, once a week this year. They were talked about, but you know what else was talked about a lot was basketball. Now we're going to talk about baseball and track and softball and everything else, spring sports. But the way basketball was this year, it's probably the most followed basketball season maybe ever, especially the last month or two, which was the last month or two leading into the spring game. So let's say that's all removed. If it's at the end of April, 1 p.m. start time, etc. How much of a difference do you think that makes in attendance?
I think it can make a difference. If you're thinking about, just even an arena down, I don't know how many people would have gone to the spring game rather than traveling to Houston. So, I mean, maybe if you're being nice, maybe 10,000 more. And then, that would get you closer to 37,000. Still would be a significant drop. And I think that as much as I look for all these different reasons, and I think they're there, and I think they're valid, and but I don't think it's enough to be the main reason. I think the main reason is you got blown out 3 straight times. You're in year 4. The big year 3 jump was supposed to happen. You haven't won an important game, at least a top 25 game, in it'll be 10 years this year. I think there is apathy growing within the football fan base, and it's the craziest thing because I didn't know if we would ever get there, but I think you're kind of in there. And the expectation, like you said, for the upcoming year because of it, the fact that you've the best coaches maybe that have been on Coaches Rules staff are no longer here. I mean that so I think it's just this all together feeling of the football program not taking the next step, and then this schedule. I don't know. I get it. There are reasons that you could say that it might have been hurt, but I think either way it was going to be a much lower turnout than usual. I think the biggest thing is you didn't have the spring game last year, so you taught people this isn't important, and then you try to come back the next year and say this is important, then that could be tough to do.
So that's another fair point. And I think I mentioned this earlier this week, where we didn't have a spring game last year. There was one of two. It was going to impact this year's attendance one way or the other. It was either going to be, oh, it was gone, we're glad it's back, and you get a little bit of a pop to it, so to speak, a little bit of a resurgence, or it's, well, I used to plan around the spring game every year, and then I was making my plans this year, and then I got out of the habit of making a plan for it, and then it sneaks up on people, which I've heard a lot. A lot of people are like, I didn't even know the spring game was going on.
Yeah.
I don't think it had the pop effect, which I was optimistic until you feel the vibe of the offseason, then it's kind of like, so here's what I'm not doing. I'm not making excuses. What I'm trying to do is look at the full picture. Like during the season, when positive things are pointed out after a rough loss, I'll be like, hey, that's cool, but we can't just look at the part of the picture we want to. We got to look at the whole picture. Okay, you remember me saying that like 80,000 times? Okay. So I don't want to just look at the part of the picture that I'm just going to say is negative. I want to look at the whole thing because there's more things that go into it. Does that make sense too? We got to look at the whole picture all the time.
Yeah.
Not just to be positive, not just to be negative. The truth usually lies somewhere in the middle, way more often than not. That's where I try to be as much as possible. Before I give my thoughts on the spring game attendance, and then we're going to get off that, okay? I talked about the wrestler coming out with no reaction. When you were talking about apathy with the football program, and you didn't think we'd ever get there, we might be getting there. Like, just envision this hypothetical situation in your mind. There's a wrestling crowd. Nebraska's football program is embodied in one person. They walk out. Is there ever a day where that crowd doesn't respond to the football program, who is now that one person walking out as a wrestler? Are you with me with what I'm trying to say here?
Yeah. I think more than enough, like, as a whole, the Nebraska fan base is going to care. I think I'm hearing more and more individually. So portions of that fan base schedule different things to do, or like you said, not even know the spring game's there. That's good, but that wouldn't happen if Nebraska football was much better. Like, you, as a Nebraska football fan, I can't even imagine not knowing spring practice or spring football is there. I get it. I do it for a living day in and day out, and so I got to know when it's happening. But I couldn't imagine not even just checking in on when the spring game would be.
So I asked that question because I just can't envision that day where, okay, let's say it's Matt Rule. I'm trying to, like, who would be the embodiment of Nebraska football right now? It's Matt Rule. Say he's the head coach. Okay. I can't imagine a day where he comes out and there's not a reaction, like as a pro wrestler. If you're not a pro wrestling fan, this is probably not hitting home with you at all. But if you are a pro wrestling fan, you can envision what I'm saying. Like, you walk out, you got the big entrance, you get the boo, this guy stinks, or yay, this guy's our hero. Okay. That's pro wrestling. I can't envision a day where Nebraska football, people don't care. I just can't. To put the button on the spring game attendance, I think it's an indicator of things need to improve. If we already knew that, but it's right here. It's undeniable. You can see things on the internet. You can hear people tell you things one-on-one, and this person one-on-one, and this person over here, and this person tells you this. That was undeniable evidence right in front of everybody. Now, there's other reasons to factor into it. It's not just, a lack of excitement or whatever the case may be this offseason. There's other reasons. The basketball team, everything else. Okay. So for me, I don't envision a world where Nebraska football, people don't get into it or react to it in some way, shape, or form. With the spring game, I do think maybe 37,000, maybe 40, if it's where it normally is, when it's normally played in the end of April, which sounds a lot different than 27 when we're used to anywhere from 60 to 80 or 90 at times. Okay. But what it is to me, it's undeniable evidence. Like, hey, if we're concerned about the reactions to things that the team is doing, there's starting to be less of a reaction, and things got to change now. And it's hard to place that on the fans because the fans have been, 99, the last conference championship, 01, the last national title game, BCS, New Year's Six game. I played in the Big 12 championship game when we lost to Oklahoma. I played in the Cotton Bowl. It was not it was on New Year's Day. I talked about the early start time last week, but it was not considered a BCS game at the time. And unfortunately, we lost to Auburn. So this has not just been a 3 or 4 year thing. If you've been here for 3 or 4 years, you need to know it's been building for a while. And then the last 10 years, it's accelerated and it's just been ratcheted up. So I think if you're new to this, you're like, man, this is kind of harsh. Well, they're still reacting, so they still care. Again, keep it with respect, but it's been building for a while. What did somebody say the other day to me? 20 years of scar tissue is what somebody said to me. 20 years of scar tissue. So I think it's, if you're going to ignore the facts, then you're going to continue to do the same, and the fans are going to continue to show what they showed at the spring game. Does that statement make sense? I'm trying to speak nicely, but yet directly.
Yeah.
If you're not going to pay attention to the facts in front of you and you don't produce better on the field, you can get mad all you want at the reaction. There's just going to be less of it, and then you have less to get mad at and less people are interested. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, is that what's going to happen? This is what I really want to talk about for the rest of this short segment before we go to break in the last segment. Is that what's going to happen? Because I've not said that is or that isn't going to happen. Nobody truly knows what's going to happen. But if we project, I've said it. I do believe this is Matt Rule's best team. And people are always like, well, of course this should be his best team going into year 4. I am not convinced last year was his best team. I am not convinced that the second year Nebraska football team with the D-line that we had wouldn't have had the big enough advantage in the trenches that year 2 under Matt Rule wouldn't have beaten the year 3 team simply because of the trenches. Maybe they don't. I don't know. But I'm not like, it shouldn't be this debatable. It should be, no, you're clearly getting better. It is noticeable. Like, no, year 3 was clearly better than year 2. I feel year 4 is clearly going to be the best team is what I'm saying. And yeah, that's the way it should be. I just don't feel like it's been clearly that way each year progressing going forward. I do feel like it will be that way this year. Does that translate into more wins? The counter to that, I mean, I've mentioned it. Our last 2 years' schedule combined, the toughest parts of that schedule, is probably about the same as this year's schedule. Maybe a little bit tougher than this year's schedule if you take the last 2 years and the toughest opponents combined. So does it translate to more wins? I don't know. And we're not playing some brutal schedule. We're not. We're just playing a actual new Big Ten schedule. I've said it before. 5 teams in the Big Ten are unanimously ranked as having harder schedules than us. The unanimous top 3, however you want to rank them, is Ohio State, Michigan, Northwestern. Everybody's list has them 1, 2, 3. And then it kind of varies. We're usually around 6th or 7th. So we're playing an exponentially tougher schedule, but what we are playing is an actual new Big Ten type schedule. I guess what I'm doing, I'm trying to create realistic expectations. There was all the playoff talk going into last year. I thought that was great. I predicted 9. Obviously, that did not happen. It was 7-6 was the end result. I thought 8 was very reasonable. Obviously, it did not happen. Going into this year, I have people tell me, "Oh, we're going to win 3 games, 4 games." Okay, but then you got folks who are like, "Well, if it's not 9 or 10, it's never going to be a good season at Nebraska." I agree if and when we get to that point. I'm not saying we can't win 9 or 10 games this year. Who in the world would have predicted Indiana would do what they've done the past 2 years? So anything is possible. I'm not saying it can't happen. What I'm saying is I want to get to the point where the only way we consider a season successful is starting with 9 or 10 wins. We're still building to that point. For me, with the schedule we're playing, going 7-6 is not a goal. But for now, against the tougher schedule that we are playing, again, not brutal, just tougher than what we've been playing the past 2 years, being able to go 7-6, and maybe some of the losses look different. Maybe instead of Penn State going the way it goes, and then they lose the next week by 3 to Rutgers or whatever it was, by 4 to Rutgers, maybe that game comes down to the wire. And instead of Iowa going the way it goes, maybe it helps if your starter's not out and your backup's not playing with a torn hamstring. But at the same time, there was a physicality difference in that game. Just a physicality difference in that game. Maybe that goes a little bit differently. It'd be nice to beat Iowa. It depends on how some of the games look, too. I think this is definitely going to be Matt Rule's best team. The difference between whether it is perceived as a better team or not is going to be how the team progresses. It's going to be due to development or lack thereof. Hopefully there's development throughout the season, throughout the offseason, a physicality that the team plays with up front in the trenches on both sides of the ball when it comes to defense, when it comes to the fourth quarter, when it comes to the second half. The way things appear, the way they look. I felt completely different at Ohio State 2 years ago. Yeah, it stunk that we lost at the end, but we led the eventual national champs with 7.5 minutes to go versus the way certain things in November went last year. It feels very different. You got to remember, it was ugly against Indiana the week before. And I sat here and I said, we have an opportunity to earn respect. And I got lit up in the Ticket YouTube comments. I am not a bootlicker or a butt kisser or a yes man. I came out and I had the guts to say we can earn respect versus Ohio State or we can get dog walked again. We earned respect. Now you want to win. You don't want moral victories. My point is, it's not just the record. It's about who you're playing. It's about how those games unfold. It's about how it looks. Do you feel like, hey, year 4 under Matt Rule, I don't know who the second best team was year 1 through year 3, but year 4 is clearly the best. That's how you ensure when you come out as the Nebraska football embodiment of a wrestler, you get a reaction. It's probably going to be pretty positive if that's going on, even if the record is similar. Or am I crazy? Does it have to be 8 or 9 right now for it to be a success? I know we got to go to break. Do you want to answer this after the break?
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
All right, answer after the break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Presents life's greatest adventures.
Okay, buddy, here we go. Just keep your eye on the ball. All right, just swing right through it. Yeah, good job. Way to go. Hey, run it out, run it out, run it out. Okay.
Great road trips start with great service. Graham Tire, your tire store next door, with 5 convenient Lincoln locations, getting you to the places that matter most.
The wait is over. It's Truck Month at Anderson Ford, which means big selection and even bigger savings on Ford F-150s. Like lease a 2025 Ford F-150 for only $195 per month. The truck that's built to work hard and play hard. Another reason you'll experience better at Anderson Ford. Stock number 1008409. Previous service letter. $195 per month for 36 months, 7,500 miles per year, 8,500 with type. Tax, title, and license fees extra. Residency restrictions apply. Program subject to change. Must take new retail delivery from Anderson Auto Group by 3/31/26.
Bauer Underground has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know that the best workers in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and a pedigree of success. They're offering top-notch benefits, a matching 401k, and a $600 per year clothing allowance. Bauer Underground, a family-friendly company with plenty of room for advancement.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
At CHI Health Clinic, we believe healthcare should be personal, because knowing your provider personally makes appointments more comfortable, more productive, and more meaningful to your overall health. Get matched with a primary care provider based on your personality and lifestyle using CHI Health Clinic's My Provider Match. Take the survey at myprovidermatch.com to find the right provider for you. Getting healthier starts by getting personal at CHI Health Clinic.
Husker fans, baseball is back in Lincoln, and it's time to get your tickets to Nebraska baseball. Catch great matchups all season long as the Huskers take on some of the top teams in the Big Ten, including Indiana, USC, and Iowa. Plus, don't miss midweek action against in-state rival Creighton and regional matchups with Kansas and Kansas State. Bring the whole family. General admission tickets start at just $10 or grab reserved seats for $15. Don't miss your chance to be part of the action this season. Get your tickets today by visiting huskers.com/tickets or by calling 1-800-8-BIG-RED.
Are you looking for a fresh new hangout spot? Let me tell you about Liquid Asset Sports Bar, where Mondays mean new weekly drink and food features. With 23 taps, a full lineup of cans and bottles, and 40 TVs blasting every sports package out there, you'll never worry about missing a play. Savor high-end spirits at their stylish top-shelf bar, enjoy a healthy menu, family-friendly atmosphere, and catch all of your favorite teams every day. Doors open daily at 11 a.m. Liquid Asset Sports Bar, located at 2755 Jamie Lane in South Lincoln.
You're listening to the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Jake. Time for your rebuttal. What do you got to say?
Well, I am interested to see, again, we're talking about Nebraska's interest, and if they're moving upward and forward here in football. You said something that I thought was kind of interesting, that you think this will be Matt Rule's best team. I'm just not so sure of that. I think they've got their best quarterback, or best quarterback position, right? You got 3 guys that have taken D1 snaps. You got a senior veteran play caller, so I like that. There's pockets that I like. But are you better at running back than you were last year? I don't think so. Offensive line, you hope so, right? Finally, maybe this can be the turn. The defense is what I'm a little bit worried about. You've had top 25 defenses. That's something you can rely on through 2 defensive coordinators. Can it last through 3? Haven't been particularly impressed with what they did with the defensive line in the offseason, whether that be, as far as bringing guys in. So I look at all this, and then I think almost, and I think this is where the apathy is kind of the question is just you feel stuck. Is that maybe everything does go right, not to an extreme degree, but you are able to win. You got 6 games against teams that with 9 or more wins last year, okay? So it's going to be hard. But maybe you win a couple of those and you do get to 7 wins. Then you're just where you were last year, right? Against a tougher schedule, and I get your argument there. But that feels like the ceiling for the team is that you can get to last year's record, and maybe they can do better. And that's going to be what's very interesting about this is a tougher schedule. The saddest thing about this 20-plus year drought or whatever it is, you played in the Big 12 North and the Big 10 West for the longest time. There was so much opportunity there. Now we can finally see, does iron sharpen iron? Because you don't have a choice. You can't run anywhere anymore. You can't hide in a bad division.
I do think you make a fair point. The Big 12 North did not have a great record against the Big 12 South as an overall whole as the years went along. Big 10 West never won a single Big 10 championship game. 10-0, 9-0, 11-0, whatever it was for the Big 10 East. So we didn't exactly take advantage of those. And then the past couple of years' schedules not been tough. Not. So you look at the top end of next year's schedule. Indiana, Oregon, Ohio State. The next tier, Iowa, Illinois, Washington. So there's 3 games where we will probably be double-digit underdogs. There's 3 games we'll probably be an underdog. The bottom half of the schedule, okay, Ohio, Bowling Green, North Dakota. Now, nothing's a given, but we should be double-digit favorites in all 3 of those?
Yeah.
Here's what I don't think has been pointed out. Did I mention Iowa already? I don't think I did. I said Washington, Illinois. I did say Iowa. So that next tier, the bottom half, it's like the top third, the top quarter, top 3 teams, I should say, that we're going to play, at least preseason, Indiana, Oregon, Ohio State. That next third is Iowa, Illinois, Washington, however you want to rank them. The bottom third would be the first 3 teams, Ohio, Bowling Green, North Dakota. I look at the next 3. Michigan State and Rutgers. Of all the teams in the Big Ten, they have the lowest over-under win total projected going into the season. You can argue there's 5 games right there where we will absolutely be favorites. The first 3 that I already mentioned, Ohio, North Dakota, Bowling Green, Rutgers, and Michigan State. That doesn't guarantee anything? Nope, not at all. And then Maryland doesn't exactly have the highest win total either, but they got a lot of returning production. They were very young last year. To me, there's about 3 games we're going to be a big-time underdog. There's going to be about 5 games we absolutely should win. Absolutely should win. I've just gone through them. It's going to be that middle 4. The middle 4 is Iowa, Illinois, Washington, Maryland. So let's just assume that we lose to the top 3. Let's assume we beat the bottom 5. It's that middle 4 that's going to be the difference between a winning season, a losing season. And to be clear, anything can happen in any of these games, okay? But if we just assume for a minute, that's the difference between 5 and 7. I'm not going to say 9 and 3, but 9 and 3, 8 and 4, 7 and 5, whatever, 6 and 6. It's going to be those middle 4 games, which again is Iowa, Illinois, Washington, Maryland. That's really going to be, and I think that Washington game, I've mentioned this before. After the bye week, we're at home, Halloween, blackout probably.
Yeah, I would think so.
Do you want them to do the blackout again?
I think so, yeah.
I actually do too. I will say this. How differently do you think Nebraska last year would have gone, November would have gone, if Dylan doesn't get hurt and we beat USC?
Well, those are 2 different things, but yeah.
That very likely could have happened.
Yeah, could have. Definitely would have been, could have been different. I'm not sure. I don't know. Yeah, you'd have a chance against Penn State, I feel like, and who knows against Iowa, so definitely could have been.
Here's my response to that. He was sacked about 10,000 times last year. It's a terrible joke. But I actually read that in an article, so I didn't even come up with that. He was sacked a lot. Dylan. The more you're sacked, the more opportunity you have to get hurt. If you're holding the ball, you're not getting rid of it, and they've got guys coming free unblocked, you're going to get, like, I don't want to say him getting hurt was inevitable because that's not true, but the odds of him getting hurt versus most other quarterbacks in America were much higher. So the fact that he got hurt, we can say, well, if he didn't, this would have happened. Yeah, I think November goes completely differently, to be honest with you, starting with the fact that we beat USC. I think we win that game. But he got hurt because we got sacked so many times, and we've already talked about the issues that led to that. When I look at next year, I feel like we have an upgrade at quarterback. I feel we have an upgrade on the offensive line. I feel good about the linebackers, probably producing more consistently better. The talent in the running back room is there. Who's going to step up, take the bull by the horns? I think the wide receivers are going to be better. So quarterback, O-line, wide receiver, linebacker. I feel better about that. There's legit questions about running back, although the talent is there. Who's going to step up? You got 5 guys on scholarship, and they've all shown some things. The D-line's probably the biggest question mark. I'm still going to keep an eye on special teams, see what happens there. The future of Nebraska football, I don't know how else to put it. It sucks that Iowa beats us all the time. They're a low floor, relatively not incredibly high ceiling program, and a lot of Nebraska fans would take that right now. We are high ceiling, we are low floor. That is just the way it is. What was Frost's worst year? 3-9. So we're anywhere from 3-9 to 9-3, something like that, reasonably. Obviously 12-0, 0-12, but reasonably 3-9, 9-3. Like the future of Nebraska football is high ceiling, low floor. I do think this will be our best team, but what about in-game management? What about development? What about management throughout the season and adjustments throughout the season as teams adjust to us from week to week and game planning? Those are going to be huge things that you don't typically talk about as we sit here in April. But as we start to look ahead to the season, because spring ball's over right after April 1st for us, those are going to be key, huge factors when it comes to next year and the future of Nebraska's football. Go Big Red, and always remember, throw the bones.
A business's phone is the lifeline to its customers and potential clients. That's why it's so important that you can take calls seamlessly from anywhere, whether you're on the road or in the office. Hamilton Business Technologies can help ensure your phone rings wherever you are. We can equip your headquarters and any of its locations with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. As the official business IT partner of the Huskers, we know